Welcome to the Tailoring Talk Magazine. We are here for a tech episode with my co-host, Jon Evans. Jon, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah.
I'm back in the real world after a little virtual, or should I say spatial trip through the new era of computing, according to Apple. Can you guess what I've been up to?
I think you've been in some Vision Pro experience. Have you, Bobby, by any chance?
I have, Jon, and
I watched your video, mate, and it was very sweary. I thought, is Instagram going to allow this? You were very excited.
I mean, I thought it was better
sweary.
to give... Yeah, I mean, you know, that was... So for those of you watching, listening that haven't seen it yet, on Instagram and on YouTube Shorts, I posted my reaction video, and it was real. I mean, that was me putting the camera in front of me whilst I was doing the demo at the Apple Store. And I just thought it's always best to be authentic, and that is the authentic me, unfortunately, means that we continuously get a dirty rating on the podcast, but what can I do? So I need to talk to someone about this, Jon, and you're the only person here. But before we get into that, you're going to be my Apple punch bag. But right. Before we get into that, I thought we should just kind of spend a couple minutes just talking about this transitional period that the Tailoring Talk podcast is in, because obviously we have rebranded to the Tailoring Talk Magazine. I am very, very... Is proud the right word? I am proud. But I'm really happy and I'm excited and ecstatic, and I've got all the feels that I can finally welcome you. Alex, unfortunately, couldn't be with us this evening, but you and Alex as my regular co-hosts officially on the Tailoring Talk magazine. How do you feel about it, Jon?
Ooh, very excited.
And how did this all come about?
Very excited and optimistic. And it's a good outlet, really, isn't it? It's a good outlet to talk about these things as well.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the funny thing is that we're almost going back to the essence of what I always intended Tailoring Talk to be, because I am menswear designer, bespoke tailor, shoemaker, I do all these other things, and then I love technology, I love movies, I'm a gaming geek, all the rest of it. I love the pop culture stuff. And originally Tailoring Talk was meant to be a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that, and then it morphed into the Conversation podcast, and we're still going to be doing that. And I smile because my guest coming up in a couple of weeks is a really good one, CEO of what was a very, very big company at one time, but we'll get into that another time. So it's really nice, and who better than to do it with than two people who, through podcasting, have become really, really good friends. And so thank you, Jon. And I'm super excited. Cool.
I brought my magic disappearing headphones with me as well.
Yeah, I know.
One of a kind, these.
Yeah.
I think the Predator used to use them before me as well.
I've just brought a shaker-style wooden door. Vision Pro. So I had my demo 24 hours ago. Do you want me to take you through the experience of the demo?
That'd be nice. Yeah, because
cool.
I mean, I'd love to do it myself. I'm not sure the benefits to Apple for me going and doing a demo to them, really. I imagine they get a lot of what we used to call in the trade tire kickers, people coming in just to look at it with no intention to buy. But I know you've been seriously thinking about purchasing. So talk to me about the process so I know what to expect if I think about doing it myself.
Well, you know me, Jon. I'll seriously think about any new piece of technology that comes out.
And I will say to you, you're going to get it, despite what you say. So, come back later on, listeners, and see if I'm right or wrong. But, we'll see.
Look, it's going to happen. It's just a question of when. So let's just run through Apple's kind of sort of take, or what they tell us it is. So Apple Vision Pro seamlessly blends digital content with your physical space so you can work, watch, relive memories, and connect in ways never before possible. The era of spatial computing is here. So was I excited about this? So we both got experience with VR and AR headsets and gadgets, right? So we've both had the PlayStation VR. I've owned the X-Real Pro 2 AR glasses. And the experience for me so far has been quite mixed. The X Reels are great, and I can't wait to actually go on holiday and take those with me, unless I've got a larger gadget to take with me, and actually just watch some movies on the plane on a nice big screen. But other than that, you don't really use them for much else. And then PlayStation VR is a little bit limited because you're kind of limited by the games that you can play in VR on PlayStation, and it is just a PlayStation product. So yes, I was extremely curious, but the price tag is the thing that really blunted my enthusiasm, because I was just like, there's no way I'm going to spend realistically $4,000 by the time I spec it up on something that within a week, when the novelty factor wears off and there's not much more that you can do with it at the moment other than just watch films and stuff, it might just end up sitting on a shelf. And so I kind of was like, usually, I mean, can you imagine if like the iPhone Pro 16 came out in America and we had to wait about 6 months for it? Or,
yeah, that'd be a...
Do you know what I mean? Or like the iPad Pro, the new M4, the M5 iPad.
It did happen. I remember having to wait for the original. I mean, I think the first iPhone I got was the iPhone 3G with the plastic back, and I remember it coming out in the UK later than the States, and it was awful having to wait for that, because I think it was the first affordable phone that was on a British network. I think before that you had to import it. I can't remember. The original iPhone was very hard to get hold of over here, so it was a wait.
You could only get it on the
Pro.
You could only get it on the O2 network, the original iPhone.
Yeah.
But, I just, in this day and age, if I had to wait for something, but this, I've not really been that bothered at all. It's been such a weird one. I mean, was I excited about the demo yesterday? I think I was more... It was half an hour. I managed to stretch it to nearly an hour by virtue of the fact that the good folks, I just give a shout out to Andrew, to Hugo, and to Jen at Apple Store Brent Cross. You guys and lady are absolutely amazing. And props to Jen, because she was putting the credit card machine in front of me yesterday going, come on, Bobby, you're going to do it. We know you're going to do it, whether you do it today or Wednesday or next week.
We discussed this before. Do Apple Store employees get commission on sales? I'm not sure they do.
I don't think so. No,
but it's interesting, isn't it, that they want to? I guess they've been probably briefed about like the PR side of good sales in Europe and UK.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll come on to that actually, John, because there was a kind of runway to this whole experience. Anyway. So, you go into the Apple Store. So the first thing I'm looking for is to see where the demo is going to take place and to see if they've got any of these things on display. And on display, they have them. So when I cut the video for this, I'll try and take some of the footage that I took yesterday and I'll intersperse it so that the viewers can see what's going on. Yeah. And if you are listening to the audio version, I urge you to go and check out our YouTube channel at Tailoring Talk, and you'll find the video version there.
Just put a blanket over half your screen so you can just see Bobby in this and not worry about me then, you see. You can gaze upon his features.
Yeah, or this is my virtual Vision Pro here. So you go in and it's the Apple Store and you've got all your usual stuff everywhere. And then kind of in the middle, they've got a nice little display with the Vision Pro headsets on and they're switched on. So you get...
Glass box?
No, open.
It was open to the public.
Yeah, open. I think so. I mean, you couldn't really touch them, but they were on those kind of stick things and then sort of suspended in air. And they were switched on, so they had their battery packs plugged into them. And you could just see that sort of ethereal blue glow that you get across the front of the goggles. Yeah. So you check in. So you basically, when you book your demo, it gives you the thing that goes into your Apple Wallet, and then you've got a QR code. So you go in, you check in, and then they take you over.
Yeah, an appointment thing for the Apple Store.
Yeah, exactly. You sit down. Your advisor then basically goes through a setup process with you. So you go onto the Apple Store app as if you scan a QR code. Go onto the Apple Store app, and then you have to do the thing that, like what you do for Face ID, you have to scan your head.
Yeah.
Calibrate. No, not calibration, because I haven't even got the Vision Pro yet. It's not even on the desk. It's just me, my iPhone, the sales advisor.
So it takes the scan of your face from your phone, and that gets them put onto Vision Pro for like a temporary usage.
No, so what they do, it then tells them what band you need for your shape of head.
Right, it's sizing you up.
They ask you about your eyesight, and I was wearing contact lenses, so it didn't matter. And then once they've got that information, they hit a button, and it obviously goes to someone in the storeroom at the back, and then somebody comes out and brings your demo Vision Pro to you. They put it down, then they show you how you pick it up and how you put it on your head, because they obviously want you to pick up it a certain way, otherwise you get your grubby fingers all over it.
Wear and tear as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. And then the advisor's there with you the whole time, and they've got an iPad with them, so they can see what you're seeing in the Vision Pro, which obviously helps them to help you to navigate around and stuff.
Because that's not a feature the Vision Pro can do for consumers. It can't AirPlay to an iPad.
No, I don't believe so.
Store,
yeah,
which is really, really interesting.
Yeah. So you put the thing on, and it completely seals out all the light around your eyes, which was the first big difference with the X-Real glasses that I have, because those basically look like a pair of Ray-Bans.
Right, so you've still got the world around you, like in your periphery, a pair of glasses.
Exactly. So you can still kind of see what's going on around the edges. Even when I've got the darkness on those set to complete black, I can still see out the sides. Whereas this, it's just a complete seal, almost like diving or scuba goggles or something. You up,
so they know the right size for your face, basically.
Yeah, so the light seal, it was all perfect. My initial impression putting it on my head is I didn't feel anything at the back of my head, but slightly the top and more the front, it felt really front heavy. And
you used the dual band, didn't you? You had the one that goes across the top of your head and around the back.
Yeah.
Rather than the solo band.
Yeah, and that was obviously something they decided based on the scan that they took of my head.
Well, I think originally in the first demos in the States, they were using the solo band. I could be wrong. Or no, I think they were using the dual band, but they were promoting all their promotional stuff with the solo band. You can get a little 3D printed widget, like a little thing you can put. You can, I don't know what it's called now. It's called the solo something or other, but it basically allows you to have two solos, one that goes over the top of your head, and one goes at the back, rather than the dual band. And apparently it's much more comfortable. So a lot of people are modding their Vision Pros to have two solo bands, but they have to buy the second. The solo bands aren't cheap, are they?
No, I don't know. And we'll look at how much this stuff is in a little while. Yeah. But yeah, it felt kind of quite front heavy, and that got me worried because I thought, do you know what? I'm not sure I'm going to be able to sit here for half an hour with this thing on my face.
A lot of VR has like weights that balance it out, don't they? I don't know. The PlayStation VR felt quite centered because it had a bit of weight at the back as well.
Yeah,
like
this doesn't.
In the front.
This doesn't. So anyway, you put them on. There's like two white lights floating around in front of you, which I thought at first was either something glaring off my contact lenses or some problem with the display. So I said, oh, there's like two things floating around. And he said, no, that's normal. Don't worry about it. So I was like, fine.
Working out where your eyes are.
Do you think? It's not even doing that at this stage. So then you switch it on and it comes up with the same hello script as when you switch your iPhone and your iPad on.
Yeah.
And then you start going through the setup thing, and that's where it does the eye tracking. So basically, it comes up with different dots, and then you have to look at the dot, and then with your hand, you have to reach up and pinch the dot in space until it disappears. Can you see your hand
whilst you're doing that?
Yeah, you can.
So
first
it's overlaid the real world, or is it just a black background?
No, this is overlaid the real world. So I can see the real worlds. I can see the Apple Store. This is overlaid on top of it. So sorry, the first thing actually is you put your hands in front over the hands on the screen so that it's got your hands. Right, and once it's got your hands, then you do the eye tracking. So the eye tracking, you go for a series of looking at dots and pinching them. And then once you get all of them, it then takes you to another one and another one. And by the time you get to the third one, you can see what the technology's doing. You can see how it's working. It's getting better and better. Yeah. Those two floating white dots start to disappear because they must be the things that are tracking your eyes. And and then you're kind of ready to go. So then you go to the home screen, and that basically is like the Vision Pro version of your home screen on your iPad or your. Actually, it's more like the one on your Apple Watch. If you don't use the scrolly one, if you use the random one, it's kind of like that.
What the hexagonal view, like the beehive view?
Yeah, the beehive view. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. And then they kind of take you through opening and closing things and how you move things around and so on. Yeah, and that was the first thing that kind of took me a little while to get to grips with, because you look at things, and when you look at the app icons, they slightly come out, like a tile moving out towards you a couple of millimeters.
Like a bit of depth, you mean, to them.
Yeah.
And is there like a drop shadow behind them?
No, there isn't.
But you can just tell.
You can tell, but it's really subtle. So you look at things and then they sort of move. But if you just look away, then suddenly, like, you've really got to concentrate to start with, because it's a new way of operating a computer at the end of the day. So then you focus on what you want with your eyes, and then you pinch. Now, The thing I learned later, because I was sort of trying to reach up towards the screen to pinch things, is the hand tracking works so well that you can just keep your hands on your lap, and you can just pinch down here instead. So the second that...
Your arms are going to get tired over time, aren't they, if they're up here the whole time?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's quite handy.
But the problem is, because the Apple Store employees, I'm not sure what training they get, but they don't get to spend very long at all with these devices before they then are trying to help us with them. And so the first advisor...
They'll probably get better, though, won't they, as time goes on and people talk to them?
It's debatable, to be quite honest, because I spend half the time I'm in an Apple Store, I tend to be serving people myself. So anyway, the first advisor didn't tell me any of that. He just kept, sort of almost telling me off. It was the second advisor I had that then said, look, Bobby, you can just keep your hands down to your sides. And I was like, oh shit, that's a lot easier. So anyway, for the first demo, they then take you into the immersive stuff. Or was it the photos? No, it was the photos. So they take you into
the panorama thing.
Yeah. So they take you into the photos at first. So you look at panoramas, which is where they sort of wrap around you, and that's
they your
cool.
photos, Bobby, or from your phone, or are they like a stock set from
No. This is all Apple's demonstration. So it is a walled garden path that they take you down, and that you're not really supposed to do anything outside of what they're going to show you in that 30-minute slot. So they show you the photos first. So firstly, you look at normal photos that, obviously have been taken by them and optimized, and they look incredible. Like, I mean, you can pinch and zoom in, and the amount of detail that you can see on a HDR photo now with this thing is incredible. And then they show you the spatial photos, the panorama ones, and that's amazing, because you kind of open it up and there's like a little goggle icon in the corner, and when you pinch that, the whole photo just wraps around you. So the one that
in it,
like you're in the picture. Yeah, so the one they show you first is a guy standing at a lake, and then there's mountains and trees behind you. And but
that's still 2D, isn't it? I mean, the actual picture itself it's not 3D, is it?
No, it's not 3D.
But it's like being in an IMAX where you've got the screen around you.
Yeah, it wraps around
your vision. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the 3D stuff is where they then show you the photos, the spatial photos that are taken with the Apple Vision Pro, and that's amazing. So one of them was a photo of a mum lighting the candles on a birthday cake, and it is like you're in the room. The birthday cake was right here, and it was all proper depth.
Excuse me.
Field of view. It was literally like I was in that living room with the mum and with the kids. And then there was another video of a girl blowing bubbles with her dad in a garden, and it's like the bubbles are flying all around you. I mean, there straight away you start to get emotional if you're anyone like me that's an empath and I just cry at anything, I just started to tear up. I was like, because there I could see a use case for just being able to relive just the best moments that you have with your family members, with kids, with friends, and so on.
Well, I think Apple have updated the phones, the newer phones now, so you can record those videos on your phone. Because I think there's a lot of criticism initially, wasn't there, about would you wear this headset at your child's party with your eyes covered? And I think they've addressed that by, I'm not sure which models of phones can do that. And I imagine the iPhone 16 will have probably better spatial video recording.
My iPhone 15 Pro Max does it.
It does it.
I'm on beta 3.
Right.
And I was able to take spatial videos today. They run out twice the size of a 1080p recording, but you can do it now.
That's still comparable to a 4K video recording, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of size.
Yeah, it was good enough. I mean, you do notice that there's a little bit loss of resolution with those spatial videos, but 1080p is still good. So that was quite emotional. Now, in the meantime, you've got sound going on the videos in Dolby Atmos using the Apple Vision Pro's own head built-in speakers.
Yeah,
and they are phenomenal.
Again, that's probably what's part of the cost of the headset. Those speakers.
Yeah.
Because essentially what they've put in there basically is like sort of a pared down pair of AirPods inside the actual headset as well.
I'd say they're better than a pared down set of AirPods. It just felt like the noise was in my head and around the back of my brain, and it was just amazing. It was brilliant. So you do that, then they take you into the immersive video, and this is where most of my YouTube short was. You sit down. Mm-hmm. So you sit down, then the guy tells me you're going to see a shark. Well, the shark didn't come straight away, so it's a black screen. Then all of a sudden it sort of opens up onto a mountaintop, and there's a woman on a tightrope, and she's just got a harness, but I swear to God, you must be like 1,000 meters above the earth, because I looked down and I almost got... And luckily, I don't suffer from vertigo anymore. I did when I was younger, but I was like, oh my God, like I'm really high up. And she's on a tightrope, and you're right in front of this woman. Like, her face is right here, and it's almost like you're
backing off from her, basically, as she walks forwards towards you.
Yeah.
So you're walking backwards on the rope. That's worse.
Yeah. And then it kind of changes the angle and stuff, and then the video cuts just as she falls off the rope. And that's where you see me on my video, where I'm like, oh my God. And then, or I think I said the F word actually. And then it cuts to underwater, and then there's a diver in front of you, and there are sharks, and he's like, when they rub the sharks' noses and they go into a trance and stuff. And that was so photorealistic. It was unbelievable.
Because I remember playing the PlayStation VR Shark Cage game, which I'm sure you played as well. And making my mother wear the headset without telling her a shark was coming and watching the reaction. But I guess this is much like the next level in terms of quality and feel.
This was photoreal. This was like you were there underwater. It was incredible. And with the Dolby Atmos sound effects of the water and stuff, it was, I mean, you might as well have been in a scuba diving thing right under there with that diver.
Apple Store, I can see when the next appointment is at Blue Water for our demo.
Yeah, you've got to check it out. Then the immersive video progresses, and it takes you through the sports section, and that blew my mind. Like,
what's
NBA,
was it
basketball, MLS football. So MLS, Lionel Messi crosses the ball into this guy. Suddenly, you're right by the goal. And he hits the crossbar, and then he knocks it back in off the crossbar, and you're literally right there. And then the NBA, you're courtside first of all, so you can see the cheerleaders right in front of you and the stars sitting to your side and all of that. And then the camera swings, and it puts you right in the middle of the action. When the guy's doing a slam dunks, it puts you right on the baseboard. And I was just raving about that. I was like, oh my God, I would just get this. If I could watch sports like that, that's sold, right?
It would be great. It would be great. I remember watching one of the World Cups a couple of years ago, maybe longer, before lockdown, there was some deal with, I don't know how it'd be the BBC or something where you could watch the World Cup in PlayStation VR. Do you remember that? And you were in the director's box, so you could sit on a sofa and look over the crowd live, or you could, and your controller would have like a little 3D hologram of the pitch. You could choose where to view from. You could sit behind the goal for short corners. For corners, I'm thinking of hockey, for football, corners, or you could go back up to your seat in the director's box and sit next to a doll of Wayne Rooney. And that was really good. I really enjoyed that. The only problem was I couldn't see my bottle of beer when I was drinking it because I had a headset on. Yeah. But if you could do that like properly in the crowd, I think there are still some technical problems doing it live, aren't there? But it's if there's enough, it's going to happen at some point. Just being able to go and watch a match live without having to leave your front room would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, even to start with, if they said, look, we can't do it live because it's not quite there, but if you could watch a recorded version of it, you totally would. It was just phenomenal. And then you cut to a recording studio and you're in the studio. Alicia Keys is playing a Steinway right in front of you, like this close, yeah? And then she gets up off the piano and her backing singers. So you're in the recording studio with her and she's singing like literally face to face with you. And I was like, just keep repeating this section of the demo over and over again and don't take me out of here.
I guess with the spatial audio, I listen to spatial audio on my AirPod Pros and I listen to a lot of jazz with them because you can place the musicians in the room around you much more clearly than maybe electronica, but being able to see them at the same time must have been an extra level. So did you turn your head to just check the audio and see if it was real? To
be honest, I was my visual senses were being assaulted so much I wasn't paying too much to the attention to the audio. Also, because I was in the Apple store, there was a lot of other noise in the background. Yeah. So,
but visually, in terms of your visual senses, Bobby, because the one thing that VR's always had a problem with in the past is the what they call it, the mosquito net. You have a slightly sort of hashed, pixelated layer, which is to do with the pixels being spread inside the lenses. With the Vision Pro, could you see any of that at all? Was there any discernible sort of?
Nope.
Wow.
Not at all.
Which I don't think any other headset can do.
No.
Can it?
Nope. There was none of that. This was as crisp as you putting your hand in front of you and looking at the veins on it, or whatever those things are called. So Alicia Keys, there was a parkour thing. So you were up on rooftops and there were these parkour runners jumping around. And
you don't want to be scared of heights doing this demo, do you, Bobby? I mean, the number of times they're throwing you from a height somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not scared of heights, so I'm fine. But they obviously do it for that because it's that sort of impact, right? You feel like you're there. Yeah, the guy jumped towards me, and then the camera cut, and you're like, oh my god. It was amazing.
Watching Casino Royale, the scene at the beginning with the Bond chasing. Imagine going to watch that in VR on the Vision Pro and be there amongst it all. Be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be so cool. So. So that was that, and then you get to play around with, they get you to put the apps in different places in your spatial space, where again, straight away you're thinking, actually, if I could use a physical keyboard, which I think you'll be able to do in Vision OS 2, probably wouldn't.
It works with just Apple keyboards at the moment, although people have tested it in the beta with. Any keyboard that looks a bit like an Apple keyboard seems to work. That makes sense. I think it's probably trained on a certain shape and size, but all the Apple keyboards work.
Do not care about non-Apple keyboards. I was able to put one app here to my left, another one to my right. I took the Photos app and I threw it up onto the ceiling.
Were you standing around, wandering around?
No, just sitting
down for this.
Just sit down.
Did they let you get up and wander around or not?
No. But to be honest, I didn't really want to.
Okay.
But you don't need to with this because it's different. It's not like VR where you need a space because you're going to be doing a certain amount of moving around. Yeah. With this, there's no moving around to do.
Because
You
I know
could
I've
if you
seen people
wanted, but-
like put screens on their walls in different rooms and wander back and be able to see that they're still in there. They're kind of persistent whilst it's turned on. That's quite cool.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, so that was that.
Yeah.
And then the demo ended. And I said to the guys, I said, look, because they were like, what do you think? And I was like, look, like, amazing. But I need a little bit more time with it. So can I even get 10 minutes just to do some actual work stuff in here? And so they got a different advisor over for me. And, I did some stuff where I was in a company boardroom. And he showed me how I could give a presentation and then how I could actually take stuff out of that. So it was a presentation of a new suspension bridge, and I was actually able to grab the suspension bridge, pull it towards me, and then sort of turn it around and zoom in on different sections of the bridge, and then bring it back together and put it back into the presentation again. And
did you use the personas in that meeting?
No, I didn't do any of that
with
stuff.
you live? Because that's something I'd like to try as well, the persona thing, where it turns you into kind of like a CGI version of yourself. The problem is that's...
they're not going to do that.
As a demo, as a guest to the device, it's too in deep into the system for you to do that, isn't it, really? So
yeah.
But
so
really
what else did I do the second time round? Oh, he said, did you see the dinosaur? And I said, no, I didn't. So then there's another little demo they've got, which when you go, ask them for it. Anyone listening or watching this, make sure you get them to do the dinosaur that comes into your world. And that's really hard to describe, but essentially black screen opens out. You've got prehistoric Earth. There's no. It doesn't start with that. It starts with a butterfly. So there's a butterfly in the Apple Store suddenly appears, and it's photoreal, and it flutters around. And then he said, put your hand out, put your finger out. So I put my finger out in front of me, and this butterfly sits on my finger in the real world, and I'm able to sort of look at it and stuff. Then it flies off, and then the world opens up, and then you're taken into the immersive world, and it's prehistoric Earth. And then the butterfly flies around and it sits on a rock, and then a little baby dinosaur comes out, and then goes back in, and then a massive, I don't know if it's no, not a T-Rex.
Allosaurus?
It might have been an Allosaurus, but an Allosaurus comes into the screen, and then it sees you, and it comes towards the camera, and it starts to sniff at you. But as it comes towards the camera and it raises its head, it suddenly comes into the Apple Store rather than it's like it's come out of another dimension. So its body is still in prehistoric Earth, but its head and neck are now in the Apple Store, and it's just sniffing really close. And I really went up closer to it, and I'm looking, and the detail on the scales of this animal was just incredible. It's the closest you'd ever feel, other than watching Jurassic Park, than being close to a beast like that. And then another one comes and they have a fight, and then your dinosaur sees the other one off, and then he sniffs you again, and then he goes back into his world, and the world between you and them closes. And that's why when you see me take the headset off in that video, I'm like... because I was honestly blown away. Now I'm really glad that I'm reliving it, and also this is going to cost me $4,000, isn't it? Anyway, but I was just blown away. The other thing I realised today, John, and this is where it's another possible use case for me. I don't know what you're like when you're working, but when I need to be in deep focused work, I'm the sort of person that you could be sat next to me trying to have a conversation with me in the office, and I'm trying to focus on something, and I will take my noise cancellers in front of you and I will stick them on.
Yeah.
I won't even apologise, because I'm like, I need to get on with this.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Now, what I've realised I've used my X-Reel Pros to try and do work, and it just doesn't work because people come into field of view and stuff. The thing with the Vision Pro, when you're in there, if you want to be part of the rest of the real world, you can. right? You can just have it as
got a little,
augmented reality.
You've got the Apple Watch sort of style dial, haven't you, that lets you sort of dial in or dial out your environment.
Exactly. As soon as if you don't want to see people, you just want to be focused, you turn that digital crown, it puts you into an environment, you change the environment to what you need it to be, but you are in there. You are not coming out of, like, you're literally just in there. And that, for me, I realized today is probably the biggest reason that I'd want one.
Just for the privacy.
Just for privacy, just to be alone.
Would you do that in your workplace or at home, or would you also do it publicly? So every other Saturday, my wife and I, we trade the 2 hours where we take my son trampolining. And for 2 hours, I am in the cafe at the leisure centre doing my work. And the leisure centre is a bit like these sort of FBI immersion torture things, where it's just the background noise. I don't know how the staff there bear it. The background noise is so bad that I have to wear noise cancelling headphones so I don't go absolutely mad there. And I can pretty much focus. Now, if I could just go there with a Vision Pro and an Apple keyboard and just do that, I could probably get loads done. But would I get funny looks, do you think? I think people might start to get used to them if they see them in the wild. But it's just a strange... I don't know how I'd feel about doing that publicly.
Let me ask you this. What did you think when you were watching me on that video with the thing on? Looks like a brown Robocop.
It's tricky because, it's not an issue for me. I know what they are and I know what they're being used for. I think for some people might just see it as a bit kind of like, oh, rude. You've cut yourself off. I know they have the eyes in the front, but do you know what? In your video, you cannot see I guess because you've not had your face recreated on the front of it. I guess in the demo, your eyes don't get made. They have to scan your face first, don't they, to do that from the actual device. So I couldn't see them. Wouldn't be an issue for me. And I would go up to that person at some point. If they took their goggles off to have a drink or a coffee, I'd say, how is it? I'd talk to them about it. I think a lot of people are going to get that, aren't they, when they use them in the UK for the first time?
Yeah, for sure.
We're a bit different to our American friends, I think. We're a bit less demonstrative with our... I don't know. I think people are less likely to use them in public. The only people you'll see using them are probably will be influencers, people like that. But Joe Public, probably, and you. The other thing I'd be worried about is sitting in a cafe is just someone going, right, I'll have that, and taking them, running off with them, because they're very desirable products, aren't they?
Well, that's the thing, right? It was the same thing with the AirPods Max. When those first came out, you did not see them in the wild, very rarely, for about 2 years.
People were worried about
them. And now recently that they've come down in price, you see them everywhere. But even I think I remember when I got them at the time, I told you, I'm using these at home. I'm not walking outside with these because it's a 550 quid set of headphones. Someone could just come rip them off my head.
I mean, I don't tend to take my my lovely new M4 iPad Pro with me when I go up to London. I'm terrified of it being taken off me. So, there's certain things you just wouldn't take out. But having said that, I think it would solve a lot of arguments in our household if I could go somewhere that wasn't where I am right now, which is our shared work desk with the Mac and the nice area to spread out. If I could go somewhere, even just sitting on the bed and get work done, that would be a real benefit for us at home. So I'm with you. I think that's quite a good selling point. But I don't think Apple really has pushed that, have they, as a selling point? Because I think they're very keen for it not to be an insular device that shuts you down. They want it to be you still to be open and see everyone with the eyes on the front and the fact you can see through the lenses to the real world. It's an interesting one.
But the problem is that by definition, it is an insular product. Because visually, we're very instinctive creatures and everything we do is on first impression. And if you go up to someone, forget about the Vision Pro for a second, but if you go up to someone and they've got a pair of AirPods in their ears, you're thinking...
They don't want to be bothered.
Yeah. They don't want to be bothered. They're not going to hear me. Right?
That's the same thing Andy Warhol thing, isn't it? Where he went to that dinner party. Do you remember? Wearing headphones and didn't take them out, and everyone was a bit shocked, but he was making kind of an artistic statement. But it does create this kind of force field around you when you're on the tube, on the underground, where you've got your own privacy. I don't know how Apple are going to deal with that, really, because it is what it is,
I don't think it is something for Apple to have to deal with, though, personally. I think that's down to the individual user, and because it's their choice at the end of the day, right? You know, once you've tried this thing and look, I urge everyone listening and watching to book a demo at the Apple Store. You can do it through the Apple Store app on your phone. Go try this thing out. You know, you're not under any obligation to buy the thing at all. And even if you did, you had 14 days to return it. We're not paid by Apple. We wish we were. We are not paid by Apple at all. We're just enthusiasts. But I urge everyone to go see it, try it out for yourself, and make your own mind up. I think the thing with this product is that put the entertainment stuff aside. Outside of the entertainment stuff, because anyone could see the use case for using it to put goggles on, watch a movie on a massive screen in a movie theatre or on top of Everest or whatever, you know, floats your boat. Take it with you when you're travelling. I mean, can you imagine sitting on a long haul flight with just your own personal 100-foot cinema, you know, just completely blocked off from everything going on the plane as it crashes.
When you're listening to the audio through the pods, Bobby, the built-in audio.
No,
pods.
just through the headbands.
Through. I know because I know you can use the Vision Pro with your AirPods Pro, but with just the pods, the built-in, can people near you hear that audio as well? Is it these headphones are open back so you can hear the audio? Can other people hear the audio when you're using it?
No, I don't think so. I can hear the volume from the guys that were testing it around me.
You couldn't? Okay.
No.
Because I'm just trying to think of how,
I guess it works like the X-Reel, because the X-Reel work in the same way. Everyone listening, if you hear John and I talking over each other, I think because there's a little bit of lag.
Delay.
There's a little bit of a delay, so we're just sort of mistiming each other. So apologies for that. It's not our bad podcast etiquette. God knows we've recorded with each other so many times. So the X-Reel Pros have the same sort of system, albeit the sound quality is nowhere near as good. But with those, you know, you could be in bed watching a movie, Becca wouldn't hear you. Unless you had them turned up really loud, in which case then she'd get a little bit of it. But I think the idea is that they sort of bounce the sound back in towards your head rather than out.
Yeah, they're a bit like I've got a pair of shocks for jogging and cycling with, and they very much, you can hear them if you're close up, but they're not too bad far away. Okay, I'm just trying to think of if I had the $4,000 in my back burner, what would be my use case for it? And I think predominantly it would be, for me, probably is consuming content. So I'd be there watching films on it because to get a cinema screen in bed would be brilliant. And probably for work, I'd use it for watching films and then be able to have multiple screens and work, because essentially you're buying yourself a MacBook, aren't you, here as well? Is it an M2? Is it an M2 chip inside it, I think?
M2 chip. So let's talk about the specs. So capacity, it's available in 256, 512, and 1 terabyte storage configurations. So don't forget, this is not a pair of goggles that you connect to something else, and that something else, whether it's a MacBook or a MacBook Mini or whatever, drives the goggles. These are a self-contained computer. So storage capacity, starts at 256 for 3499, goes to 512 or 1 terabyte. The display, you've got 2 micro OLED displays at 23 million pixels, 3D display system, 7.5 micron pixel pitch, supported refresh rates up to 100 hertz, starting at 90, 96, 100 hertz. Playback multiples of 24 or 30 frames per second for judder-free video, and I can attest to the fact that the video with this thing is crystal clear, sharp, pin sharp, and buttery smooth. The processors, you have an M2 8-core CPU, 4 performance cores for efficiency, 10 cores GPU, 16 core neural engine, and 16 gigs of unified memory, and an R1 processor, which I think that might be the graphics processor, 12 millisecond photon to photon latency.
It was a new chip.
It must be the thing that drives
Pro.
the. I think it drives the
Spatial
camera
computing?
system.
Okay.
Yeah. So the
So it's the
camera,
spatial element,
stereoscopic 3D main camera system, spatial photo and video capture, 6.5 stereo megapixels, whatever the hell that means. Sensors, 2 high resolution main cameras, 6 world facing tracking cameras, 4 eye tracking cameras, a true depth camera. We need Alex here to count all of these up. LiDAR scanner, 4 inertial measurement units, flicker sensor, ambient light sensor. So there's a lot of sensors and cameras going on in there. That's 2, 8,
I'm looking
12,
at the website, Bobby.
13.
You've got to,
13 cameras.
We're going to have to take into account that I also have to get some, for me, some Zeiss optical inserts so I can see what's going on as well. So at the demo, can they put those inserts in if you've got dodgy vision? Do they take that into account? They do.
Yeah.
I think if I
we didn't really
with me.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it because obviously I was wearing my contact lenses, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
The one thing that kind of got me a touch worried was the battery life, because you can plug this into the wall, but the battery, it only gives about 2 hours of general use, up to 2.5 hours for watching video. Now,
the built-in battery, you mean?
The battery pack. There isn't a built-in battery.
So the battery pack you get with it. Do you get a battery pack with it?
Yeah,
you must do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you buy? You can buy an extra battery for it. Can you? I think you can. I'm looking at the accessories here. So you could, for instance, they're 200 quid each for the batteries. But then you're thinking like if you want to watch Lord of the Rings, you can't watch it, can you?
No.
But can you plug this into a USB power socket?
Yeah, you could plug it into a brick.
You can. So, I mean, let's just say I'm sitting in my bed. I have all my gadgets which I shouldn't do really, next to me charging. I could just plug in a USB-C lead that I use for my iPad into it and sit in bed and watch it. But I guess it must limit your movement a little bit. And does that plug into the battery pack at the bottom, or into some connector at the top near your head?
So it plugs
in the battery pack.
It plugs into the battery pack. So
yeah,
in the box you get the Vision Pro, you get a dual loop band, you get the cover for the front, you get a battery pack, you get a light steel cushion, you get a polishing cloth, and you get a 30-watt USB-C power brick with a USB-C charging cable.
It looks like you plug in to the battery pack because there's a USB socket in the battery pack, and therefore what you've got to do is make sure you plugged it in before the battery pack runs out, and rather than charging directly from the wall, you're topping up the battery pack as it's charging, which I can see that being a way of like limiting the number of connections in the headset and making it lighter and maybe bringing the cost down. But it also means you don't have to have a cable attached to your head whilst you're charging, which is quite a good compromise, really. But the issue I can see with this is if you get a spare battery pack, say you're going on a long haul flight, like you're gonna lose all power and your work. You have to save your work and stop, change batteries over, and turn it back on again. And the problem with that is, and I think they might be addressing it in Vision OS 2, is, and at the moment in the current setup, if you turn your Vision OS off, you lose all the placeholders where you put all your windows, if that makes sense. So if you just say you stuck a window to the back of your seat on the plane and another window open on the window of your planes, if you then have to change a battery over, all those placements get lost, all the apps get shut down. There's no persistence in the actual OS at the moment. I think they might be addressing it in Vision OS 2. I don't know. So for a $4,000 device, there's a lot of kind of quirky compromises, aren't there? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
sure. I'd be more tempted to get this on sale and return, try it out for a month and see what it's like before I'd spend all my money, but I can't see Apple letting you do that.
What they will let you do is they will let you buy it, and they have their very, very good 14-day policy. So you use it for 14 days, and if it's not for you, you bring it back on the 14th day, and they will give you a refund, no questions asked. That's the only way that you could do it. So yeah, I mean that's the only thing. I mean, when I fly anywhere, I tend to go business class or above. So I don't know what you lot
Also,
have in economy, but I would expect that I've got some sort of way to plug my Vision Pro in somewhere.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a USB lead connector somewhere on a business class plane, isn't there? Really, in this day and age. I see. The thing is, Bobby, I've taken a conscious decision never to use planes again because environmentally they're not great for the world. So it wouldn't be an issue. But I don't know what it's like for driving. I mean, motion on a plane is a bit more. It's less twisty turny. But using a Vision Pro in a car, I don't mean driving, but as a passenger, because my car has USB connectors in it as well. So you could go on a long haul journey in a car as a passenger and watch films and things, but you don't want to be someone that suffers from motion sickness, I imagine, even with the AR on full environment being shown. I'm just trying to think of how I'd use it. A long car journey, it would be ideal, wouldn't it? You sit and watch a film on a massive screen. But how much better is that than just watching a film on your iPad in your car? Apart from the other see the screen in direct light, I guess.
Well, I guess you get the immersive element, but also you get the privacy. Yeah. You don't get, no reflection unless you've got a nano texture display iPad like me. Yeah. It's just, I think, having the option to be completely immersed in the experience, which for movies, as we know, is the holy grail, right? We were just talking the other day about trips to the cinema and, people that are using their phones all the way through because etiquette has gone out the window in the modern age, right? Now imagine...
Do you know what? That would be the main reason why I give up going to the cinema, is because of people's mobile phone usage and using the Vision Pro instead. And I think, is there an option to be able to watch it in a virtual cinema? Yeah. As an environment?
It looks amazing. It's so good. It's like being in the BFI or something. It's awesome.
What I'd like to do, I'm not sure Apple will do, I'd like to be able to write a shopping list of how I think I'm going to use a Vision Pro. And that shopping list will then inform them of what sort of demo to show me. So you were quite canny and you said, can I just try out the Office, the presentation tools? But I'd like to go in there saying, I want to see the dinosaur demo. I want to have a go on in a cinema, sitting in a cinema, I want to try it whilst moving around. I'd like to try the cable being plugged into the battery and see how that feels. All the things that I think I would use it for. I think that would be really good. But the problem is, I'm not sure they have the setup there for that, do they? And the time, really. So I'll wait till you buy yours and come around your gaff, mate. Basically.
Yeah, I mean that would be, just find a friend who's got one.
Yeah.
And then you can try it out to your heart's content. I'm not sure how that would work though.
I have several parents in my school who up. Guarantee will buy them and will probably even walk into the playground in them at some point. So I'll wait until they do that and ask them if I could have a go on them as well. But because I have some very wealthy parents at my school, I guarantee there'll be someone wearing one in the car, the back passenger seat on the way in. So I'll wait and see who I can ask as well. But I think I will book myself a demo whilst I'm on holiday. Take me an espresso pods for recycling next door, because an espresso store's next door to it in Blue Water, and have a go. I just have a go at it with the tips that you've made. And then think about how, for me, the issue is not buying the device. I always find a way. And the issue is not availability. The issue is whether my marriage will still survive after I buy one. Do you see? That is a problem, because I don't need one of these. I don't need one of these. And I've still got, if Apple produce a cheaper version, maybe. If I win the lottery, maybe. But I just don't. For me, this is way beyond my normal budget for any sort of Apple device. The most I've spent on any Apple device is my Apple iPad M4. So it's just a matter of, I don't think it's going to be a thing in my life, unfortunately.
To be fair, I've spent. What's the most expensive MacBook I've ever spec'd up and bought? It would have been the Intel i9s, and I think I spec'd a monster up, and it was close to $4,000, if not over $4,000.
So you have done it before.
So I've done it before, and arguably I'm richer now. So, what's the big deal? But again, it's just always this worry, right? That you use it for a week and then it's like, okay, whatever.
That's
and then it ends
period,
up on the
isn't
shelf. But then you've got your 14-day period, exactly. So,
which did happen in the States quite a lot, apparently.
But I want to, because we're going to have to do PlayStation Portal and stuff another time. But I just the last couple minutes, I just want to, I just want to take us back in time and put this thought in your head, because there's been a lot of hate for the Apple Vision Pro or for Apple with this product. People saying it's a flop, it's a failure, people aren't buying it. Well, guess what? In this day and age, the whole world isn't going to flock to buy a $3,500 to $4,000 device. It's just, and a lot of people like Jon are thinking about use case, as am I. But put all of that aside, what Apple are doing here is like a ground zero for this type of computing, in the same way that we were at ground zero back in the early to mid 80s with things like the Amstrad 1512, the Spectrum 48, I think it was the first one, the Spectrum 48K, and then you had the 128K. Those computers were ground zero. The people making those didn't know how successful they were going to be at the time, right? But it was the beginning of something. And that's what I believe we've got here with the Apple Vision Pro. Having used different variations of augmented reality, virtual reality, and now you've got this, which also does 3D, by the way. I watched Super Mario Brothers, the animated movie, in 3D. A bit of it anyway, and it looked incredible. We're at ground zero with a new piece of computing technology that has not been done before in this way. And I think that's exciting.
Yeah, it's the nearest Apple have got to, really, as they bookmarked the world with the iPhone. It was a massive change in everything. And I think this is the first device they've made since the iPhone where it's a proper sea change. And to be fair, comparably, the first iPhone was hideously expensive as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And people bought it. If I had £4,000, there was nothing else needed. If I had everything paid off, all my things I never paid off, I'll be in there in a flash, because it is a sci-fi gadget. So I also think if they do release the next one, and the next one won't be for a while, I reckon 2 or 3 years at least, if not longer, it'll be a cheaper pared down one. Won't be quite as good as this one. I think this is, if you're an Apple completionist, and I think in the long term, buying the first iPhone was always a good investment. I think you could look at it in this way as well. And I'm trying to convince myself here. I'm wondering if my wife's listening at the door right now. But you could treat this as an investment in the future. In terms of historically, it's going to be a device that's worth it. I don't think we'll ever see another Apple Vision Pro like this one. I think they're going to try and make it more consumer friendly in terms of the cost. So I think this is a very special device. And I'm placing odds of about 3 to 1 that you're going to get one. So there's odds are changing, but I think
those are really. If Jon's giving you 3 to 1, get in there, guys and girls, because I'd have gone the other way.
2 to 1. I'd have gone
like 1 to 10,
okay,
or something like that.
Okay, well,
because also when you look at things that are coming in, I won't go into all of it now, because we haven't got time, but if you go into their website and you look at what's coming in Vision OS 2 this September, October, then, right, so you've got see your keyboard in any environment, you'll be able to use external accessories, you've got panoramic productivity with Mac Virtual Display, all of those sorts of things. Then you start to see how maybe this becomes something that you can use more in sort of every day. I mean, even me just sitting on my desk here, I've got a 5K studio display and I've got a 4K LG monitor side by side. Imagine if I could clear the desk space and have a panoramic display that's like 2 or 3 4K displays strung together, curved around me in virtual space, and not have to deal with these two monitors. In fact, actually, I could sell my studio display. That pays for nearly half of the Vision Pro.
Exactly. But very briefly, if Apple had a crazy vision for the future, and that could be, as you say, a beefed up, I forgot what they're called now. Not the Mac. What the ones without the screens, the tiny ones. Mac Minis.
I've got one here. The Mac Mini.
Yeah, Mac Mini. If you had a Mac Mini that was as spec'd up as a Mac Studio, but didn't need a screen, with a keyboard and a mouse, all right? No screens on your desk whatsoever. Third or fourth generation Apple Vision Pro by then, which is lighter, possibly more like glasses, more like the Meta Wayfarers in size. You sit down, you put them on, everything pops up in front of you. I mean, that is the sci-fi future, isn't it? And I think a lot of other companies like Meta and what your headset is it? Be-Real? What the other
X-Real.
X-Real. I think they're trying to go that way as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next big headset released will be closer to the Vision Pro in terms of quality. So we're going to get there. But like anything, and I'm convinced of this because I think even Mark Coburn and Simon May were talking about this, there's going to come a point where it will be normal to put a pair of glasses on and that's where your screens are, rather than having these solid devices. It's a bit scary. And I think there'll be the same scares that we have with teenagers and mobile phones now, the screens in your face the whole time. But I think that is going to happen. And I think it's really good, despite me not being able to afford it, that Apple are doing something. They're kind of trailblazing in that direction, as are other companies as well. Yeah. We mustn't forget they're not the only ones doing headsets. I think Metro are doing a really good job of bringing VR to the masses. And they do this new £25 a month subscription to the Meta headset. You get your own headset and access to their store of all the games for £25 a month. If Apple could do something like that, like the Apple Arcade but for Vision Pro apps, with a device that you either bought or subscribed to, that would be amazing. Never happen. Apple won't do that. They like to sell their devices out to you. But I can see ways around this that make it more consumer friendly. But in the meantime, we have people like Bobby who's going to go out there and be our early adopters. My odds are changing already. To tell us how, let us know how it all goes.
And on that note, nice segue into, so at the end of your demo, they will ask you to put your email address in, and you will, by the time you get back, you'll have an email on your phone that will say, thanks for coming in and trying it out. Yeah. Here's the spec of your Vision Pro. Click this button to buy it.
See, I've tried the old game that we play where you always, with every new device, where you go into the site and you spec it up to the max and see how much it costs. It's a bit difficult with this one because the first thing they ask you to do is to measure your face before you spec it up. And I will do it. I don't want to do it now whilst I'm podcasting, but I'll have to do that. But I want to see what the maximum spec Vision Pro with the case and the extra battery will cost. We're looking at sort of 9-10 grand, aren't we, really? With all the extra bits.
Oh, yeah. I've just gone into the email they sent me. So it says, thanks for coming in. Here's a recap of your shopping session with Andrew at Apple Brent Cross on Monday, 15th July. See a summary of the products you looked at below. View even more details when you open this recap in your Apple account. And so it says Apple Vision Pro 256, solo knitted band, dual loop band. So it's got me as a small light seal.
Probably because of the lack of the hair. I think nice. your fit is tighter when you've got no hair. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so it says my face has been measured. So I click the buy button. It then goes into my account on the Apple Store. And now I can go through the buy process. So scan complete, your face has been measured. Let's get a sense of your vision to see whether you need the Zeiss inserts. Do you wear glasses? No. Do you wear contacts? Yes. Prescription. Soft. Do you have monovision contacts? No. Do your contacts have any other cosmetic features? No. Done. All set. Then we go to the next bit, storage. 256 at 3499, 512 for £200 more, and 1 terabyte, 3899. Now, why would you need so much storage?
If you're traveling a lot, Bobby, and you watch films on planes and things, you might want to be able to store a whole bank of films onto your device. However, since you've only got 2 hours of battery life, how many films are you going to watch anyway?
Exactly. Unless you're travelling in first class like me and you can plug it in.
Yeah.
So I go probably 512. Oh no, sod it. You might as well just go 1 terabyte. It's only 200 quid. Apple Care Plus is 499 quid for the Vision Pro.
One-off payment?
One-off payment or $24.99 a month.
Okay, so that is the most extreme Apple Care. And I pay for my phone after I shut my last one in the car door. I have heard reports of the front panel cracking for some people.
It's £250 a year for just 2 years.
Yeah.
So, but it's like, you know.
But under UK law anyway, you get a 2-year warranty with any device anyway, don't you?
More than that, 6 under consumer rights. Yeah, you won't get accidental damage cover, but then you could just add it to your home insurance. So yeah.
Want to at that cost, add it to your home insurance.
Of course you would. Yeah, and you'd want to add it to your home insurance policy for items that you take outside of the house as well.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go without it because I can't see myself dropping it. And so that's that. It's 3,899.
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, I'd have to pay an extra £200 for some Zeiss lenses. And then, how much is the case? Is it another £100 for the case? The sort of Apollo 11 case thing.
I saw them on the accessories bit, but I didn't realise they were separate.
Who the lenses or the
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to pay extra for the Zeiss lenses. You can't get them.
No. So the case.
Yeah, the case is extra, and it's £200 in fact for a case for the travel case. But it depends it depends how often you're actually going to travel with them. If you're using them at home or at the shop and just going in between, the only thing I can think of is if you're going on one of your motorbikes or your bicycle, you might want the case for it, just because of how else you're going to transport it.
I'm not sure that I would take this thing to the. Oh, actually, it would be an idea to take it to the wet room because then I can ignore all the people there. That would be quite cool. Yeah. Okay. So 200 quid for a case.
So then videos, Bobby.
So then you're at like no, they don't. So then you're at like 4,100 quid.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Look. This was meant to educate our listeners and viewers. This was not meant to now turn into a shopping trip with you lot and me.
These are all questions people are going to be asking themselves when they've at this stage when they've listened to the podcast and thought, oh yeah, I like the sound of this, and it gets to the the double underlined line and the final bottom line number. It is a big issue, Yeah. It's really hard for geeks like me that really want this, but it's just beyond my price range. So
you know the saving grace, right? So usually you say, so let's say iPhone whatever comes out, and you say, I'm on a 3-year upgrade cycle now, I don't need a new iPhone. Yeah. And then they sell out. And the lead time goes from October to November to now you can't get it till December, right? And then that usual Apple thing of, okay, now I really want one, right? Now I really want one. So then you go to John Lewis, you go wherever you can because you've got to get your hands on one because there's scarcity. The thing with this is right now, if I want a 1 terabyte Vision Pro, I can go pick one up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there's no scarcity issue there, which kind of makes me calm down a bit. If you want it delivered, by the way, it takes 2 business days here in the UK.
It's pretty good.
Or you can pick one up at your local Apple store tomorrow. So I think for most people, I mean, certainly feedback I've had from the videos I've posted so far, people have commented and said for them, it's either outright, I would not spend $3,500 on that, or I'm interested, I've got to think about what I would actually use it for outside of entertainment. Because for just watching movies, it's an expensive...
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. You could buy
a very nice TV for that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And sound system, do you see?
If you're someone who's single and isn't interested in forming relationships with anyone, then great. You want to go live in an immersive world like Ready Player One? Go for it. And to be fair, right,
smaller
John,
place to rent, save on rent with a smaller place. You don't need a big room for a TV.
Some of the people that were having their demos yesterday around me look like those sorts of people. And if you're watching this, nothing wrong with that. We've all got one life to live. But one of them looked a bit dodge. Let's face it. So yeah. If you're watching, Steve, I apologise, but you look weird. Cut your hair. So if you want to live in your own little world, right, and you don't need to interact with anyone else, you haven't got a wife or kids or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, then fine. But that's the other thing as well, John. I mean, could you imagine Becca tolerating you being amongst the family with that on your head? No. It's not going to happen.
No.
And definitely Carolina, you've got to know her now. She'll just punch me in the side of the face, and she doesn't care if she'll... That's why I need Apple Care Plus. So, again...
Oh, dear.
It's, yeah. Anyway, there we go. That's Apple Vision Pro. Final thoughts, John? Or just a lot to think about?
A lovely, lovely sci-fi device that I would love very much, but I value my balls more than my sci-fi desires, if that makes sense.
And I'm a perennial risk taker, so watch this space. It's not a question of if, it's when. Brill. Thanks, John. I don't feel like I've got closer to a decision any more than I did at the beginning, but it certainly helped to get some of this off my chest and share what I've experienced so far with you and whoever else is watching and listening.
I think you haven't changed your decision because your decision right at the outset was to get one, Bobby. That's why.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you.
I think the next video we need to see is Bobby putting it on before Carolina recognises it and punches him in the face. I want to see her boxing video.
We should do it as a reveal video where, like, the camera starts down my road and very quickly makes its way up the street, through my front door, into my hallway, and then into my office where you see me just unboxing it and putting it on. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. John, thank you so much, as ever. We've got the Casino Royale episodes that should all 4 parts should be out by now, so go check those out if you haven't already. If you've got any questions about Apple Vision Pro and my limited experience thus far, although I am going to book a demo for Carolina because she's now very curious, and I'm probably going to get myself back into that headset again, so I'll be talking to my business account manager tomorrow about that. But if you're curious, if you've got any questions at all, if there's anything that we've not covered that you want me to go find out for you, drop a comment, or if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, you can hit the text the show link in the show notes. It's right at the top. Click it there. It will take you to your text message app in your phone, and you'll be able to text us directly. And you can find us on Instagram at Tailoring Talk Magazine. I think, no, it might be just Tailoring Talk now. Just search Tailoring Talk, you'll find us. We're just in the process of kind of starting to jig things around and then unify everything, so it'll all be consistent by the end of the summer. Yeah, thank you. This has been really cool. John, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
So you, chap, so you.
Yeah, thank you for enabling me to go and part with a lot of my hard-earned money.
Don't draw me into this. I'm not your enabler.
Yeah,
I don't want to get punched in the face by Carolina. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We will be back to examine my Apple Vision Pro 1 terabyte. But anyway, in the meantime, be good to each other. Take care, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.